Hey Raiders, I am Mrs. Swanson and I'm coming to you from Raider Blue House to tell you about a great book by world-renowned author Sharon Creech. The book is called Walk to Moons, and it's a story about a young girl named Sal. And the title is really interesting. So the title came from a proverb or like a lesson called Don't Judge a Man Until You've Walked 2 moons in his moccasins. And the main character in this story, her name is Sal. She is struggling with the death of her own mother, and she encounters many people with their own struggles as she carries on and talks to you while traveling with her dad from, I believe, Ohio to Idaho. If you like a good, meaningful story where there's this great moral and message, this is yours. It actually is also a Newbery Medal winner. So if that tells you anything, and Sharon Creech, that author, is just grand. I'm going to go ahead and read the first few pages to you. Just relax and enjoy. Oh, I'm sorry. And here's that message, that moral. Chapter 1, A Face at the Window. Gramps says that I'm a country girl at heart, and that is true. I have lived most of my 13 years in Bybanks, Kentucky, which is not much more than a caboodle of houses roosting in a green spot along the Ohio River. Just over a year ago, my father plucked me like a weed and took me and all our belongings. No, that's not true. He did not bring that chestnut tree, the willow, the maple, the hayloft, the swimming hole, and all that belonged to me, and we drove 300 miles straight north and stopped in front of a house in Euclid, Ohio. No trees, I said. This is where we're going to live? No, my father said, this is Margaret's house. The front door of the house opened and a lady with wild red hair stood there. I looked up and down the street. The trees were all jammed together like a row of birdhouses. In front of each house was a tiny square of grass, and in front of that was a thin gray sidewalk running along the gray road. Where's the barn? I asked. The river, the swimming hole. Oh, Sal, my dad said, come on. There's Margaret. He waved to the old lady at the front door. We have to go back. I forgot something. The lady with the wild red hair opened the door and came out on the porch. In the back of my closet, I said. Under the floorboards. I put something there. I've got to go get it. Oh, don't be a goose. Come and see Margaret. I did not want to see Margaret. I stood there looking around, and that's when I saw the face pressed up against the upstairs window next door. It was a round girl's face, and it looked afraid. I didn't know it then, but that face belonged to Phoebe Winterbottom, a girl who had a powerful imagination and who will become my friend, who would have many peculiar things happen to her. Not long ago, when I was locked in a car with my grandparents for 6 days, I told them the story of Phoebe. And when I finished telling them, or what maybe even I was telling them, I realized that the story of Phoebe was like the plaster wall in our old house in Bybanks, Kentucky. My father started chipping away at a plaster wall in the living room of our house in Bybanks shortly after my mother left us one April morning. Our house was an old farmhouse that my parents had been restoring, room by room. Each night, he waited to hear from my mother. He chipped away at a wall. On the night that we got the bad news that she was not returning, he pounded and pounded on that wall with a chisel and a hammer. At 2 o'clock in the morning, he came up to my room. I wasn't asleep. He led me downstairs and showed me what he had found. Hidden behind the wall was a brick fireplace. The reason that Phoebe's story reminds me of the plaster wall and the hidden fireplace is that beneath Phoebe's story was another one, mine. Do yourself a favor, go grab Walk Two Moons by Sharon Creech. You will not be disappointed. If you need one from my room because it's not in the library, come down. I've got a few copies.